I feel like I wanted to drive home a little bit. We can all agree that energy independence is a good thing. We need more American companies producing sources of energy for our own use. What are some of the key reasons that you guys want to highlight again as to why this offshore wind project would not be achieving those goals?
As I said in the presentation, of the 3 companies who have won the leases out here, 2 of them are foreign companies. So I feel like that's outsourcing our energy. It's not making us more secure. And as far as I know, there's no prohibition against those companies selling their leases or selling their finished projects to another country, whether they be friendly or not friendly. So I actually feel like these make us much more vulnerable. And along with that, one of the reasons why we need so much more energy, and it's not just, oh, we're going to close a coal plant and open up a wind farm. No. They're saying we need double, triple the amount of energy because now all the cars are supposed to be electric. But not only that, there's a tremendous amount of energy that's used by data centers, Google, Amazon. AI takes tremendous amount of energy. All the surveillance, all the cameras, all the data banks, tremendous amount of energy. So when you hear them say, oh, this wind farm will power, 500,000 homes, our homes are a drop in the bucket. This is for industry. So whether that makes us more secure as a nation, I'm not sure, but we are outsourcing these wind leases to foreign companies.
I'm not going to touch that.
Thank you. Okay, next question. I'm sure that you guys may have heard this before. You guys have spoken all up and down the county. But REACTalliance has been accused of being politically motivated, specifically that this is a liberal lobbying organization set on hijacking U.S. energy independence. What would you say to those claims?
Oh, let me have this one. It's funny. So, and one of the things that we didn't talk about at the very beginning is that we are a 501c nonprofit organization. We are nonpartisan, and we are grassroots. Our fundraising comes from a concert that we did a few months ago and the donations that come in. And interestingly, and then I'll get to your question, but interestingly, our board, we focus on one thing and one thing only, and it's offshore wind. We are all sorts of different folks from different political persuasions, and it's kind of a, not ragtag group of people, but it's a lot of people that generally probably wouldn't get on board with each other to do a lot of different things. In fact, our president, Andy, who's sneaking in the back, and I were on the opposite sides of environmental issues during my entire career in Morro Bay. So it's an interesting group, but we've come together to work on offshore wind and offshore wind only. We have been, it's funny, we were at a Morro Bay City Council meeting not too long ago, and we were accused of being funded by big oil. And we try to be extremely professional at all the public meetings that we go to, but at that one we just couldn't help but laugh out loud because, funded by big, only wind companies are funded by big oil, certainly not REACTalliance. And we've also been accused of, not telling the truth about offshore wind. And our response to that is, if anybody feels that we have something on our slideshow or something in our material that isn't factual, let us know. Because by far, our biggest push really is to make sure that people have the information about offshore wind and then make your own decision. Because I think it's pretty obvious. So the fact that people are groups, the board of supervisors, Mr. Carvajal have said, funded by big oil, this and that. I mean, in a way, I think it's kind of good because it means that we're making a difference and we're making people, get a little bit nervous about us.
Absolutely.
I think that was
Yeah, that was great.
Yeah.
I have one last question before I turn it over to you guys, but what impacts, we're on a college campus right now, so I really wanted to kind of address what impacts would a college-age person feel if this were to move forward? Like whether that's the recreations that they enjoy, things that they might not think about or think that are important now? What do you think are the key things that you would hate to see go that are being threatened by this project?
One thing that I actually wanted to say that I forgot to say is certainly during construction, we think it's a tight housing market here. It'll be, I mean, I don't even know how it can get tighter. I mean, I don't know how, they're projecting. If you can imagine a build out of an industrial port, it's going to take a lot of people to come and do that work. So I suppose that's a benefit if you do that kind of work for a short period of time. But the housing crunch is going to, I think, be horrendous. I don't even know how they manage that. So that's one way that anybody who's, let's say, about to graduate from school, like, hey, I want to, live here, I want to, start my job here. Where the heck are you going to live, and how can you afford it when there's, 10 people for every 1 bedroom for rent? So that's one way that people on college campuses will be impacted.
Yeah, definitely. The ocean activities, which is really unfortunate, right? Just our tourism and things like that, which means that as we enjoy the oceans and where we live, you guys could imagine even trying to drive in Morro Bay or Avila, which in my opinion is some of the best towns around here. How is that possible with all the traffic and things that be going in and out? Like she said, probably not going to paddleboard anymore because you don't want to get hit by a 400-foot boat, which is, yeah, sorry.
And the pollution, I mean, I think many of us love it here because it's so clean. I know people come from, from Fresno, people come from LA, and then, oh my gosh, my asthma went away. This is so beautiful here. Well, an industrial port brings pollution and brings crime and brings drugs. So that impacts everybody who wants to live here. Maybe you want to raise a family here. It's very safe right now, at least in Morro Bay it is. And I could foresee it not being that way anymore.
Cost of energy.
And cost of energy.
The one thing that I'll add, it's interesting because CalPoly has a pretty big marine science program out in Port St. Louis, and it's an interesting, I think it's an interesting struggle, I think, as a student or even as a marine biology student, to know that these things are happening on the ocean, and marine mammals, again, there has to be a correlation between the surveys that are going on with the high decibel levels and the strandings and the death. And I think, that's how do you continue to have a marine biology program that is great at Cal Poly and supportive of offshore wind, it seems like at this point, yet have these atrocities really that are happening in the ocean. And until you see an animal that's stranded, that's not dead, but is stranded on the beach, it's something that you will never, ever forget. And if there is truly a correlation to that, then how can we, as students and people, and continue on with an industry that's doing this kind